In a game built on strength and toughness, there's still room for mystery. Every Sunday, beneath the pads and playbooks, players cling to their rituals, tiny acts of belief in a world ruled by chaos. A pair of lucky socks, a handshake no one else understands, a prayer whispered before kickoff. Some call it superstition, others call it survival. Because when the lights hit and millions are watching, even the toughest men on earth look for something, anything, to tip fate in their favor. These are the stories of football's strangest habits and the rituals that refuse to die. He's the most stoic coach in NFL history, a man who treats interviews like interrogations. Yet even Bill Belichick has a ritual. The hoodie. Not just any hoodie, but the hoodie. Cut off sleeves, frayed edges, and history woven into every thread. Belichick wears it through entire playoff runs, never washing it mid-streak, believing that comfort and maybe a hint of luck keeps his focus razor sharp. Players joke that the fabric holds more Lombardis than most franchises. Fans swear the hoodie changes shade each season, aging like armor. When asked, Belichick deadpanned, "It's practical." But teammates and assistants notice the truth. When the stakes rise, he reaches for the same gray garment, as if football gods reside in its folds. Under its shadow, dynasties were built. From the tuck rule to 28-3 to 6 rings. It's not superstition, he insists. But deep down, everyone knows. Somewhere between genius and paranoia lies the power of the hoodie. Terrell Owens, the Sharpie ritual. Terrell Owens never needed luck. He created moments. But his superstition was as bold as his celebrations. Every game, T.O. tucked a Sharpie into his sock. For autographs, he'd wink. Yet it became more than a marker. It was a statement of destiny. In 2002, after scoring a touchdown against Seattle, Owens pulled that pen from his sock, signed the football, and handed it to a fan. The stadium exploded. The NFL fined him. But T.O. didn't care. The ritual had worked. He started slipping Sharpies into socks every week, calling it his manifestation pen. He believed it kept him loose, confident, and in control. Critics called it arrogance. Owens called it preparation, a reminder that the next great moment was already written. Superstition or swagger? Maybe both. For T.O., belief was his magic marker. John Elway, the no-shave win streak. In Denver's thin air, John Elway wasn't just a quarterback. He was the cowboy hero of the Rockies. And like any gunslinger, he had his ritual. When the Broncos started winning, he stopped shaving. 1 win became 2. 2 became a streak. By December, his stubble was a badge of honor. Elway believed breaking the ritual would jinx the run, so the razor stayed put, and the legend grew. Teammates joked that his beard was a weather report for victory. The scruffier it got, the hotter Denver was rolling. By the time the Broncos made their late 90s Super Bowl runs, Elway looked every bit the grizzled veteran who'd waited his whole career for glory. Some players shaved for luck. Elway grew his. And in the end, that scruff lifted 2 Lombardis and retired a champion. Cam Newton, Superman activation. Every superhero needs a transformation. For Cam Newton, that moment came before every game, a ritual he called Superman activation. Cam's pre-game sequence was exact. First, he'd blast gospel music, singing under his breath. Then he would pray, slow, deliberate, eyes closed. The music faded into silence. He then put on his headphones, switched to hip-hop, and stared at the floor, locking in. No one, not a coach, not a camera, dared interrupt him. When he finally pulled on the Panthers jersey and snapped on his visor, he would whisper 2 words to himself. Superman activated. That's when the smile disappeared, replaced by steel. Teammates said you could feel the energy shift in the room, the swagger, the focus, the electricity. And when he ripped open his jersey after a touchdown, pantomiming the Superman logo beneath, it wasn't just celebration, it was ritual fulfilled, the transformation complete. Josh Allen, the vomit reset. Most quarterbacks throw passes. Josh Allen throws up. Before big games, the Bills franchise QB gets so amped, he vomits. Not from illness, from energy. And after he does, he says he feels perfect. Teammates laugh about it. Trainers just nod and wait. Once he's done, one said, we know Josh is locked in. It's become so routine that Allen treats it like a warm-up drill. Get it out of the way, then go light up defenses. It's weird, sure, but in Buffalo folklore, the vomit reset is as predictable as a snowstorm in January. And every time Allen launches a 50-yard rocket through the wind, fans don't see nerves, they see a ritual that works. Michael Irvin, the Bible in the locker. Michael Irvin, the heart of the Dallas Cowboys dynasty, had fire in his veins and faith in his ritual. Before every game, he would place an open Bible in his locker, always to the same passage, Proverbs. He would touch it, close his eyes, and pray for strength. Not to score touchdowns, but to win every inch of the field. He said the Bible reminded him of who he played for and why he endured the grind. Teammates knew not to disturb him during that moment. Irvin's pregame ritual was sacred, his energy untouchable, and when he took the field, he would explode with emotion, screaming, crying, and rallying teammates with words pulled from both heart and scripture. When people asked where his fire came from, Irvin would smile and point to the sky. The Bible was his anchor, proof that faith and fury could coexist under the lights of Texas Stadium. Michael Strahan, talking to Sox. Before he was a Hall of Famer or a talk show host, Michael Strahan was a man with a pre-game ritual that made his teammates shake their heads. He talked to his socks. Every Sunday, he would sit quietly in front of his locker, hold up his game socks, and whisper to them. Encouragement, motivation, sometimes even apologies for last week's loss. "I'll tell them to work hard today," he laughed later. You know, because they would be the ones doing all the chasing. Teammates joked that the Sox must have been great listeners. But Strahan swore it helped him focus. It turned noise into calm. And when he took the field, that focus turned into fury. He finished his career with 141.5 sacks and one unforgettable Super Bowl win over the Patriots. Maybe his Sox didn't hear him, but they sure carried him. Tom Brady, the forbidden fruit. Tom Brady's career is defined by discipline in training, diet, and yes, superstition. His greatest taboo? Strawberries. He's never eaten one, not once. Brady believes strawberries throw off the body's chemistry. He won't touch them, not in smoothies, not on desserts, not even on birthdays. It's part of his personal mythology, a commitment to the TB12 way. His teammates teased him. Reporters questioned it, but Brady stuck by it. The man who outlasted generations of players believed that every choice, even one piece of fruit, could ripple through his performance. It's strange, it's small, but it's Brady. Meticulous, relentless, unwavering. 7 Super Bowls later, you start to wonder, maybe avoiding strawberries really did change history. Mark Brunell, the lucky draws. Mark Brunell led the upstart Jacksonville Jaguars through one of the wildest rides of the 90s. But behind the precision passes and playoff upsets was one less glamorous secret. He wore the same pair of lucky boxer shorts every single game. Home or away, heat or humidity, same pair. He swore they brought him good fortune. When asked if he ever washed them, Brunell just smiled and said, "Enough to win." Teammates found out and started calling them the playoff pants. The superstition became so famous that equipment managers guarded his locker on game day. No one wanted to risk the curse of the missing jaws. He led Jacksonville to 2 AFC Championship games wearing them, cementing one of the most quietly bizarre streaks in NFL history. It's not glamorous, and it's not sanitary, but it worked, and you don't mess with what works. Matt Prater, the bathroom break. For most players, pregame nerves mean butterflies. For Matt Prater, they mean bathroom trips. The record-setting kicker insists he must use the bathroom twice before kickoff. Once to clear the nerves, he explained, once to reset. Teammates laugh, but no one questions it, because when Prater's ritual happens, the ball goes through, every time. There's even a running joke in the locker room. No bathroom, no boom. He's so consistent that trainers can practically time the start of the national anthem by his trips down the tunnel. It's weird, it's funny, but it's Matt Prater. Part precision, part porcelain, all results. Deion Sanders, the mirror mantra. For Deion Sanders, confidence wasn't optional. It was sacred. Before every game, Primetime stood in front of a mirror and delivered a sermon to himself. He'd stare, smile, and whisper, "You're the best to ever do it." Then came the checklist. Uniform, perfect. Towel, centered. Wristbands, balanced. Socks, even. He called it alignment of the prime. The ritual wasn't vanity, it was ignition. He believed that if he looked unstoppable, he would be. The mirror was his altar. Reflection, his reminder. By the time the lights hit, Deion Sanders wasn't just a man. He was Primetime personified. And on Sundays, the reflection always won. Ray Lewis, the dance. For 17 years, Ray Lewis brought thunder to Baltimore. And before every game, he performed the ritual that made crowds quake, the squirrel dance. For Ray, it was spiritual. Same steps, same arm pump, same roar to the heavens. Lewis said it was how he summoned energy. His teammates swore the moment he started moving, the air changed. The stadium vibrated. When he sprinted through the tunnel and dropped into that stance, he wasn't just introducing himself. He was calling on something deeper. Rhythm, fire, faith. It was both a celebration and a battle cry. The Ravens knew the rule. When Ray danced, you followed. And when he stopped, it meant the hunt was on. That dance wasn't superstition. It was invocation. A man, his faith, and the storm he carried into every game. Jerry Rice, the brick ritual. For most receivers, practice meant catching footballs. For Jerry Rice, it started with bricks. Long before he was the NFL's all-time leader in catches, touchdowns, and yards, he was a boy in Crawford, Mississippi, working for his father, a bricklayer. His father would toss bricks to him, one by one, daring him not to drop any. If you drop one, he warned, you break it. That memory became ritual. Before games, Rice would warm up with weighted footballs, recreating the sensation of catching bricks. It wasn't superstition for luck. It was a vow to never drop what mattered most. Teammates called it strange. Rice called it sacred. He believed every pregame toss reconnected him to where he started, to the hands that built his career from calluses and concrete. By the end, he didn't just catch passes, he caught history. And it all began with bricks. Peyton Manning, the seat rule. Precision defined Peyton Manning. His arm, his reads, and his rituals. He sat in the exact same seat on every bus, every plane, and every team meeting. Same route to the locker room. Same playlist. Same pre-game throw sequence. Once, a rookie accidentally took his seat on the team plane. Manning politely, then firmly asked him to move. Routine, he said, keeps the chaos out. For Manning, superstition wasn't magic, it was math. He believed consistency bred clarity, a ritual of repetition that calmed the noise before kickoff. He was an architect of order in a league built on collision. And when the ball was snapped, that order became orchestration, audibles, adjustments, perfection. To Peyton Manning, routine wasn't fear of change. It was control of destiny. Brian Urlacher, the cookie code. Some players pound protein shakes before games. Brian Urlacher, he ate cookies, 2 chocolate chip cookies, every time, no exceptions. It started as comfort food, a simple taste of calm before the chaos. But after a few dominant performances, it became his standard. If he didn't get his cookies, he said, something feels off. Teammates laughed until they realized he was dead serious. Trainers would stash emergency cookies in his locker just in case. Chicago winters could freeze breath midair, but Urlacher would stand on the sideline, a monster of a man with a child's ritual baked into his routine. When you're a linebacker who wrecks offenses for a living, superstition doesn't have to make sense. Maybe it's sugar, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's destiny. Whatever it was, it worked. Because for over a decade, when Urlacher had his cookies, opponents had problems. Bill Romanowski, the human science experiment. Bill Romanowski's superstition lived somewhere between science and madness. He took over 50 supplements a day, color-coded by hour, stored in tiny bags. Each pill, shake, and nutrient timed to the minute. He called it fine-tuning the machine. Teammates called it obsession. Romanowski believed deviation meant failure. One missed pill could break the system. Pre-game meals, hydration, visualization, all tracked, logged, and repeated. By kickoff, his body was a chemical equation of precision and paranoia. He never missed a game in 16 seasons. He also terrified opponents, and sometimes teammates. For most players, superstition offered luck. For Romanowski, it offered control through madness. He didn't just prepare to play football, he engineered it. Marshawn Lynch, power pellets. For most players, energy comes from adrenaline. For Marshawn Lynch, it came in a rainbow bag, Skittles. Since high school, Lynch called them his power pellets. Before every game, he would pour a handful into his palm, pop them in, and chew with the same intensity he ran with. Orange, red, green, it didn't matter. What mattered was the ritual. It grounded him, calmed him, and reminded him that football was supposed to be fun. By the time he hit the NFL, fans knew. When beast mode broke tackles, candy rained from the stands. The Seahawks staff always had Skittles in stock. The brand even gave him an endorsement and a lifetime supply. Marshawn once said, "If I ain't got my Skittles, I ain't ready." It sounds ridiculous until you remember he bulldozed half of the Saints defense on one of the most iconic runs in NFL history. Superstition or snack, doesn't matter. For Marshawn Lynch, greatness came one chew at a time. Troy Polamalu, the power in the hair. His hair, thick, flowing, untamed, wasn't fashion, it was faith. He refused to cut it during the season. He refused to let anyone touch it before games. He believed his focus, even his balance, lived in those curls. By 2010, it was insured for $1 million. But to Polamalu, the hair was more spiritual than financial. It connected him to Samoan roots, to family, to humility. Before games, he would close his eyes and run his hands through it, a quiet prayer to ancestors, to calm, to purpose. Then he would explode onto the field like a spirit unleashed, diving, leaping, and flying. For others, superstition came from fear. For Troy Polamalu, it came from belief. Patrick Mahomes, the lucky underwear. It's 2025, and Patrick Mahomes is rewriting the record books. But beneath the pads, the MVP trophies, and the magic throws lies one of the weirdest superstitions in modern football, the red underwear. Mahomes has worn the same pair since his rookie year. He swears they bring him luck. He claims he washes them occasionally. Teammates beg to differ. When asked if he'd ever play without them, Mahomes shook his head. "I've got a streak to protect." It's funny, but maybe there's power in belief. The Chiefs have become a dynasty, and those boxers have been there for every title, every comeback, and every jaw-dropping play. Fans talk about arm angles, reads, mechanics. But maybe, just maybe, the true secret of Kansas City's success lies under the uniform. John Henderson, the face slap. Some players hype themselves up with music, some with speeches. John Henderson preferred pain. Before every game, the 6'7", 330-pound Jaguars defensive tackle had a single request: slap me. A trainer would wind up and hit him, hard, across the face. If Henderson didn't flinch, he would demand another. If my eyes don't water, he would bark, "It ain't good enough." The sound echoed through the tunnel, smack, followed by a roar that could shake walls. It wasn't for show. Henderson believed the slap flipped a switch, snapping him from man to monster, wiping away hesitation, leaving only instinct. Teammates learned to stand back. Cameras rolled in disbelief. The ritual became legend. Part madness, part motivation. And when the whistle blew, Henderson exploded off the line like a freight train. For him, pain wasn't fear, it was focus. And that slap, that was the spark that lit the storm. From cookies to candy, from chance to chaos, superstition in the NFL is less about luck and more about belief. Because when the lights come on and the world is watching, every player needs something, anything that tells them they're ready for war.